Welcome back to Roxham TV. I'm your host, Jamie. We are starting with breaking news today. Former Venezuelan President Maduro has appeared in U.S. federal court after being taken into custody, a major geopolitical development with implications for oil markets, U.S. versus China influence in Latin America, and global risk sentiment. We will break down what happened, why the US is using drug charges, and why this story is less about Venezuela and more about global power and energy. But first, to the market. Bitcoin has been pumping hard with strength spreading into altcoins and even meme coins. Momentum is clearly back, but the key question now is how long is this move gonna last? We will go straight into the chart to see what Bitcoin's TA have been telling us, the key levels, momentum signals, and what would confirm this rally or perhaps warn that this is running out of steam. So today I want to start with the 1 hour chart. So look at things at the more immediate perspective. So I will tell you the good stuff that I'm stealing first. So in terms of the RSI on the hourly, we are building up this nice support. So whenever we touch this support on the RSI, we happen to bounce back, which is a bullish sign that I'm seeing. So we have been bouncing off basically ever since 16th of December. So it has been quite some time, almost a month now. So this is a very parabolic move, and especially this just past few days. And if we look at how much we have pumped, if we just take from maybe the start of the year, so 1st of January, so we were trading at around $87,000 and we pumped all the way to $94,000. So that is a nice more than 8%, so 8.7% in a matter of 5 days. So that is a really generous gain. So this is the more immediate price action, and since we are getting close to this support on the hour side again, well, I'm eyeing very closely in the hourly candle, so more on the immediate price action. If we manage to turn that and bounce off at this major support on the hour side again, if so, this bullish momentum likely gonna last for maybe for a few more days to say. So this is on the more immediate price action. However, if you have been watching my analysis for a bit, you know that I've been calling out a bear market ever since October. Well, the reason being is because I still think the 4 year cycle is very much intact. This is a very controversial topic. Like if I tell other traders, each trader have different strategy and believe in different indicators. But if I frame it a little bit, because since we lost the 50-week moving average, like most of the traders that I talk to happen to agree that we're heading straight to the 200-week moving average, and the 200-week moving average is roughly $57,000. So that being said, let's actually hop onto the daily right now. So slowly building up that time frame. So on the daily time frame, one thing I like, so again, I'm starting with the good stuff because this is I would say a parabolic move for, we haven't seen this movement in a while. So one thing I like about the daily chart is that we have been forming this, downward momentum ever since the cycle top. So 6th of October, we reached 126K. And whenever we get close to this resistance, we just happen to get rejected. But this time we managed to break above that and having daily candles actually closing above this resistance. So this is a bullish trend that I'm seeing. This is again a good thing. However, if we zoom out, like to 93K right now, so if I go ahead and remove the resistance, the downward trend that I drew, this is just more likely a consolidation period. So what it means is just we are chopping around between 84K till 94K. So basically 10,000 So what it does is just like, if you guys are more like a short-term trader or day trader, then you could pull some really good trades inside this box. But like if we zoom out, we essentially would just like going sideways, consolidate a little bit. So I know that, okay, having a nice gain, so 7% or 8% gain in 5 days, it was really generous. So, however, if we zoom out, it looks more like a relief rally, and I just hate to be a perma bear, but like I like to bring the truth and like to tell you guys what I see in the chart. So, on the daily, one key resistance that I saw is basically at 94K. The reason why I'll say this is that, again, if we pull out and actually pull out the horizontal line, and if we also zoom out, you notice that 94K, it was the prior support that we have. Prior support. So we have been building and trading around the support for months. So prior support is going to be our future resistance, and that's what we are experiencing right now. So 94K is a critical level. If we have a daily candle actually close above this 94K, then maybe the relief rally is stronger than I think. But other than that, it looks just like a consolidation period, and I've been talking about this for since December last year. So this is one thing I see, and from a technical standpoint, anything below 108K is still in a technical bear market. The reason why I would say this, because that was the previous all-time high, and we keep testing that. We keep finding resistance at this level, and so are we. And we are sitting at 93K. There's still some room for Bitcoin to reach 108K, so another 16%. So in other words, this is still a technical bear market, but that being said, it doesn't mean you can't make profits from it. It doesn't mean you can't trade, and especially like when it comes to trading, it separates into different mentality and different time frames. So if you want to pull short trades and maybe look at a shorter time frame like hourly, or some traders would go really insane and look at the 5-minute chart or 1-minute chart. So if you more like a midterm mentality trader, then maybe daily or weekly is more for you. All right, so this is for the daily chart, and one thing I can't ignore is that altcoins. Everyone is saying, okay, alt season, altcoins are coming back, and if we pull out the past 7 days performance, it is really juicy, and I'm not gonna lie. So if you look at render for the past 7 days, it pumped 84%. So this is definitely a parabolic move, and a lot of meme coins are pumping. So Pepe, Bonk, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, they all did a really generous gain. So Dogecoin is the biggest meme coin in the sector right now, and for the past 7 days, it did like almost 22%. So that's a really generous gain. So let's also quickly hop onto the total market cap for altcoins right now. So starting with the good stuff that I see. Altcoins, it has been forming this resistance on the RSI ever since September 2025. And one thing really interesting that happened in late December is that the RSI broke out of this major resistance, and we're just like shooting parabolic. And right now we're sitting at $900 billion. That being said, if we zoom out, okay, first of all, I need to give some credits for altcoins. This is a really nice gain. And I'll get into why I'm not like very surprised, and also why I'm still not calling this as an alt season. Okay, so this is the good stuff. However, if we zoom out and if we pull out the horizontal line, one level I'm watching, and I mentioned this in yesterday's show as well, is $936 billion. The reason is just the same for Bitcoin from a technical standpoint, because whenever we touch this level, we just like happen to find resistance. So it was the previous high, and now it's gonna be a critical level. Let's see if altcoins manage to close a daily candle actually above 936 billions. Like if so, maybe I will change on my perspective, but like other than that, it looks more like noise to me. So this is for altcoins, and this is why I didn't call an alt season like a lot of YouTubers out there did. Again, $936 billion. Let's see if we manage to stay above this level. And let's go back to Bitcoin because we were only looking at the daily. Let's also hop on to the weekly. So as I mentioned, let's pull up the Ichimoku cloud. I wasn't surprised to see this pump because I noticed some of the viewers kind of misunderstood what I meant. Looking at the weekly, and I love using the Ichimoku cloud because that is a leading indicator to tell you the direction of where Bitcoin possibly could be going. And last cycle, we spent essentially like 100 days, so 3 months inside this Ichimoku cloud. And when we get into this cloud, so that's what we happen, right? So we have the cycle top or 126K, and then we drop to the Ichimoku cloud. If we follow the pattern, like of course, like history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. So if we say we're going to trade inside for 100 days or 3 months, that would bring us to all the way to February 2026. So what this means is that having a pump all the way till mid-February, we could pump up to 105K, but this was still technically in a bear market. So zooming out, this would be just a relief rally. So having a relief rally is normal in a bear market, just like in a bull market. So nothing go a straight line in a bear market, right? We're still gonna see chops like this, like pullbacks like this in a bull run. Same apply for a bear market. So according to the Ichimoku cloud, like if we spend a few more weeks inside this cloud, like even though we pump all the way up to 100K, this is still a bear market. And having a pump like this, we also go to the monthly gains because last month we closed. So in December, we closed with a minus 2.97%. That was a red month yet again. Of course, October surprised a lot of people because according to the 4-year cycle, like maybe October is not going to be that bad, but like let's not forget we did have a cycle top exactly on 6th of October. So there's just fact out there, and people still find it really controversial for some reason. So a new all-time high was printed in October. So do you classify that as October? I don't know, like there was a new high, but we end up closing with a negative number. So point being, there are 3 consecutive months of negative return for Bitcoin. And according to the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly chart, like it's normal to have consolidation periods, so to have relief rally like that. Very likely we're gonna trade inside this Ichimoku cloud for a little bit before heading lower. The reason why I'll say this is like if we zoom closer and look at the Ichimoku flip, so there's a twist here. So being span B overtaking span A. So again, this is a bearish signal. And since this is a leading indicator, it's going to be in June 2026. So there's still months to come. So that's why zooming out, this is more like noise to me. And since I love trading the market, I always believe narratives follow price. Like I know, like from a TA perspective, price action gonna go in especially because I've been talking about that in December. So price action gonna have a relief rally. I didn't know what the narrative's gonna be, but like right now looks like it's because Venezuela. This is a really good news, and a lot of people in the market like the news a lot because like finally the dictator is being in jail and in US soil. So we're going to get into that in a bit. Well, actually, let's get into that right now. Let's turn to Venezuela. Venezuela pleads not guilty after capture in shock. So if you guys didn't know, the former Venezuelan President Maduro has appeared in the U.S. federal court after being captured in a U.S. operation. This is a major geopolitical moment and it's still unfolding. So here's the latest news that we got. Yesterday, Maduro appeared in the court in Manhattan. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. Those charges include narco-terrorism, drug trafficking conspiracy, or money laundering. So in court, Maduro said he's innocent and he called himself a decent man. He also claimed he was being kidnapped during the US operation. And as for Maduro's wife, also pled not guilty to similar charges. The hearing was pretty short. Maduro is now being held in Brooklyn at a federal detention center. So no bail has been set due to concerns he could flee the country. So what the US is accusing him of, the US prosecutors say Maduro led a long-running drug network known as the Cartel of the Suns. So what they claim is that the network moved large amounts of cocaine into the US. It worked with armed groups like Colombia, FARC, and drug money helped support Maduro's regime. So US officials say this activity goes way back, more than 20 years ago. Prosecutors are expected to present intercepted messages, witness testimony, and financial records. If convicted, the charges could lead to decades in prison, possibly even life. So, what's happening in Venezuela inside the country? Well, it is quite tense and the reaction is quite mixed. The government has declared a state of emergency, and here we have the interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, sorry if I butchered the name, has taken over daily control. There are protests in Caracas, so some demanding Maduro's release, but like there are a lot of people inside Venezuela celebrating his removal. Actually, the U.S. has warned of further action if there is resistance to a political transition. So it is a very controversial move from the US. People are asking, is it legal under international law for what the US did? And this is where things get really complicated. Many international law experts say capturing a sitting foreign leader without consent violates sovereignty. Head of state immunity usually protects leaders from foreign courts. However, the US response is very different. So, what the US argues is that Maduro is not a legitimate leader due to disputed elections, and US courts can claim jurisdiction for drug crimes that harm local American people. So, this is where it gets so interesting because the US chose drug charges for a reason. Drug trafficking would directly affect US citizens, and that would allow prosecution under US law, and it does not require international approval. However, other issues like human rights or oil or foreign allies, those are harder to charge in court. So this makes drugs the strongest legal path and the path that US has chosen so far. And this case actually goes way beyond one man. what it affected as well. So it's about US influence in Latin America and also Venezuela's massive oil reserves, not to mention China's large investments in the country. China has tens of billions of dollars to Venezuela through oil for loan deals. The reason why this is not so much about US versus Venezuela, but more US versus China rather, is because China's Belt and Road Initiative. So, what does that mean? The program is pretty simple. Is to build infrastructure overseas, is to lend money to developing countries like Venezuela and secure long-term influence or trade routes and energy. Since then, dozens of countries have joined. One of the most important partners in Latin America is none other than Venezuela. So, this is why Venezuela is so important to China. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. There is weak access to Western financing due to US sanctions, and that made a perfect partner to China. Under Maduro, China has lent over $60 billion to Venezuela, and most loans were oil for loans. And Venezuela repaid that with really cheap oil shipments. What China did in return, China also built power grids, rail projects, of course, all projects run by Chinese firms. And by 2023, China even upgraded Venezuela to its highest diplomatic tier. So, where things went wrong, like the deal worked until it did not. Venezuela's economy collapsed due to mismanagement, corruption, or sanctions. As a result, Venezuela defaulted on part of its debt. Tens of billions of dollars are still unpaid to the Chinese, and major projects stall halfway. For example, a high-speed rail project that stopped mid-construction, billions being spent but nothing finished. China, of course, got their oil, but also big losses. And now comes the shift. After Maduro's capture in the US just a few days ago, a future government may actually reject Chinese debts, and Chinese assets could be frozen or reviewed. Oil exports may shift back to Western countries and Western markets. This is not so much about Venezuela, it's about who controls energy and influence. As my personal take, I think Donald Trump is an extremely smart guy and strategic businessman. He managed to kill three birds with one stone, and this is definitely a very calculated and precise move from him. I'm sure everyone should at least give him that. Alright, so here's the update of the whole Venezuelan situation and also more about US versus China and how I read into the news. What we're going to do, we're going to take a short break, and after that, we're going to dive into the world of AI and NVIDIA as well. So stay with us.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
He's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin! Come on, little buddy! Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Around. We are now diving right into AI because there is a major announcement coming from NVIDIA at CES 2026. NVIDIA unveiled Alpha Mail, which is a new AI system designed for self-driving cars and robots. CEO Jensen Huang called this the ChatGPT moment for physical AI. So that's a big claim. Let's break it down in what's actually happened in the announcement. So NVIDIA launches Alpha Mail, open AI models that allow autonomous vehicles to think like human. Well, this is a new open source AI model built for the real world. It's not chatbots. It's not text. This AI is designed to see the world and understand what's happening and decide what to do next. Think cars or robots or machines that move and act. So why is this different? So here's a video playing out the whole self-driving car. Most self-driving systems today work well in normal situations, but it struggle in rare and unexpected events. Things like sudden roadblocks or unusual traffic behavior. Alpha Mayo is built to reason through these edge cases step by step, more like how human thinks. And importantly, it can explain why it made that decision. So at its core, Alpha Mayo combines 3 major things. The first is vision, so what the car sees. Second is language, how it reasons. The third is the action, so how the car moves. This is called a vision language action model. It uses a think first and act second process, similar to how large language models solve problems. And NVIDIA isn't just releasing a model, they are releasing a full stack. including a simulation system to test rare events, large open datasets, and tools for training and safety sets. This allows developers to test dangerous scenarios without putting real people at risk. And this is not just a research project, it's a real-world rollout. The first production car using NVIDIA's full self-driving stack will be Mercedes-Benz CLA starting in early 2026. That includes NVIDIA chips, NVIDIA software, and NVIDIA AI models. So this launch fits a much bigger shift in AI. We are moving from AI that recognizes patterns to AI that acts in the real world. This is called physical AI. It is critical for self-driving cars, robots, factories, logistics, and NVIDIA see this as the next major AI wave. This also explains NVIDIA's long-term advantage, and this just further solidifies NVIDIA's monopoly play in the market. Because they already control chips, they control software, the tools, and developer ecosystem. Their CUDA software platform has been built for almost 20 years. Millions of developers are trained on it. That creates a powerful lock-in effect. Even competitors with good chips still struggle because they lack the same software and ecosystem. So this news, my final takeaway is that Alpha Mail is not just a new model. It's NVIDIA saying to the world that AI is ready to leave the screen and enter the real world. And NVIDIA wants to be the company powering that shift. Speaking of AI, let's also turn to another AI giant, being Samsung. Samsung Electronics is expected to report a huge jump in profits for the fourth quarter in 2025. Analysts are calling this one of Samsung's strongest quarters in years, and here's what we know so far. So let's get down to the headline numbers. Samsung is expected to report operating profit of about 16.9 trillion won, which is equivalent to roughly $12 billion and a 160% increase from the same quarter last year. Some analysts think profits could go even higher, possibly over 20 trillion won, which would be Samsung's best quarter since 2018. Samsung shares, of course, are already reacting, jumping more than 7% ahead of the announcement. And if we go to the past 5 days' performance, it pumped more than 16%, which is quite generous. So, what's driving the surge? Of course, here's AI. AI data centers need massive amounts of memory chips, and there simply aren't enough to go around. The shortage has pushed prices sharply higher for DRAM, stand for Dynamic Random Access Memory, and especially High Bandwidth Memory or HBM. Samsung is one of the world's largest memory chip makers, and that puts them right at the center of the AI boom. So, why memory chips matter for AI? I'm glad you asked. AI systems don't just need powerful processors. What they also need is fast memory and large capacity and low power use. That's where Samsung comes in. Samsung supplies memory chips to major AI players, even including NVIDIA. Recent months, what we have seen is memory prices jump 30 to 50%. Some contract prices up more than 100%. Simply put, demand is running ahead of supply. So personally, I think it's quite fascinating to see the change of Samsung from slump to boom. Just a year ago, the chip industry was in a deep downturn. Samsung cut production to stop prices from falling. Now the situation has completely flipped. In the third quarter of 2025, Samsung's profit already more than doubled. By the fourth quarter, the AI rebound is in full force. But as for the trade-off for consumers, because chip makers are focusing on high-margin AI memory, so fewer chips are actually going to consumers, that's pushing price for PCs or laptops, gaming rigs or smartphones. So RAM and SSD prices have doubled for some buyers. So the key takeaway for this news, this earnings surge, what they tell us is one thing very clearly. AI has pulled Samsung out of a slump rather fast. Memory chips are once again a profit engine, and Samsung is using its scale to turn the AI boom into real earnings. Okay, so we are going to take a short break now, but when we come back, we will turn to crypto security and break down a data breach involving one of the most well-known hardware wallet brands out there, Ledger. So what was exposed, what was not, and what users need to know. Make sure to stay with us.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin! Come on, little buddy! Bitcoin! I need you! Don't go!
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick. Monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back to Roxham TV and thanks for sticking around with us. Right now, let's turn to crypto security and a new disclosure from Ledger. Yesterday, Ledger, one of the world's largest hardware wallet makers, confirmed a customer data breach. Ledger says the incident did not affect its wallet or software or customer funds. However, some personal customer data was exposed through a third-party provider. So here's what we know so far. The breach did not occur inside Ledger's own systems. It happened at Global E, which is a third-party company that handles international online orders for Ledger's official store. Global E detected unauthorized access to parts of its cloud infrastructure. Hackers were able to copy customer information stored there. Ledger says its private keys or seed phrases or crypto balances were not impacted, but what sort of data was exposed? According to Ledger and Global E, the leaked data may include full names of customers or email addresses, phone numbers, shipping addresses, or order details. More importantly, no passwords, no credit card numbers, or no bank details were exposed. Ledger says customer assets remain safe because their wallets were store keys offline. So why does this still matter and why people are panicking? Even without financial data, this kind of leak is serious. Personal information can be used for phishing emails or scam phone calls. Ledger is now warning affected users to be extra cautious, especially with messages asking for wallet updates or recovery phrases. The breach was actually first discovered by SecXBT, of course, being the blockchain investigator on Twitter, after users share notification emails online. And this is not the first time Ledger has faced backlash. Back in 2020, a major breach at a previous e-commerce partner exposed hundreds of thousands of customer records. That data later appeared online and led to phishing campaigns and even physical threats in some cases. More recently, in 2023, Ledger dealt with a software supply chain attack involving a developer tool, though it was patched quickly. In all cases, the hardware itself was not broken, but customer trust took a hit. So everyone is asking right now, are Ledger wallets safe to use? Well, from a technical standpoint, yes. Ledger wallets keep private keys offline. It requires physical confirmation for transactions and have not had confirmed cases of remote key extraction. However, the big risk is no longer the device. The risk is data privacy and social engineering. That means users need strong personal security habits. So, what measures we should take right now? Well, first of all, we should ignore all unsolicited emails and calls. Never share recovery phrases and only update software through official Ledger channels. Hardware wallets still offer strong protection, but no system is risk-free. All right, so let's also, that's the latest on the Ledger data breach and what it means for user security. Now let's shift gear from security to innovation in crypto. A major DeFi platform on Solana has just launched its own US dollar stablecoin. So Jupiter's USD stablecoins is now live, and it could really change how liquidity moves across the Solana ecosystem. So here's what you need to know. So first of all, this stablecoin is US dollar backed, designed to stay entirely on-chain. The goal is quite simple. Jupiter wants to reduce reliance on bridge stablecoins like USDC and build a stable asset that is deeply integrated into Solana first and Solana only. So how is this stablecoin being backed? At launch, JUP USD is fully collateralized. The reserves are structured like 90% is backed by USD TP, a short-term US Treasury-backed stablecoin from Athena Labs, which is collateralized by BlackRock's Builder Fund. And another 10% is backed by USDC, like as a liquidity buffer. As I mentioned, USDTP, that's really mouthful, is connected to BlackRock. And this setup is meant to provide transparency, stability, and institutional grade backing. So where are the reserves being held right now? The reserves are held in segregated public verifiable wallets. Custody is handled by a regulated digital asset custodian, and Jupiter said this ensures clear separation of funds and on-chain transparency, and since it's related to BlackRock, it offers the institutional security standard as well. Security, of course, is a major focus of this launch. Jupiter, what they said is that USD, the code is completely open source. Multiple independent audits were completed before launch. This is meant to reduce common DeFi risks such as smart contract bugs or hidden logic. So how JUP USD is used inside Jupiter right now? Okay, JUP USD is not just a standalone stablecoin. It's built to work across Jupiter's entire platform. What it means, users can lend and borrow JUP USD. They can deposit into earn vaults and use it in swaps, limit orders, and DCA. Over time, Jupiter plans to expand JUP USD into perpetual features, mobile apps, and other on-chain financial products. The idea is to keep liquidity inside the Jupiter ecosystem. So this is actually a great matter for Solana. Jupiter already routes a large share of Solana's trading volume, and with their own stablecoin, it's likely there will be more activity staying native to Solana, and friction from bridges is now reduces a lot more user-friendly, and stablecoin liquidity becomes more centralized on-chain within Solana. This could make JUP USD a default unit of account for DeFi activity on Solana. If adoption grows, this could reshape how stablecoins are used across the network. So, of course, we'll be watching how the adoption goes and how JUP USD performs in real market conditions. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be joined by a guest to talk about the Bitcoin community in South Korea, how it's growing, and what adoption looks like on the ground. So stay with us.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you, don't go!
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick. Monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460, in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising. The dollar's falling. That's the trick. Monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index is collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back to Roxham TV, and joining us is Spectre, who is a well-known voice in South Korea's Bitcoin community. He is the founder of Bitumen, a Bitcoin-focused education group that treats Bitcoin as a new field of study, and he is also a co-founder of BTC Social Layer, which focuses on community and culture around Bitcoin. Beyond events, he's active in real-world adoption, from supporting Bitcoin developer education to helping merchants accept BTC. And he's currently interning as a Bitcoin developer himself. So it's great to have you, Spectre, today. Welcome to the show. Can you hear me, Spectre? I think I'm not getting any audio from Spectre's side.
Yes.
Oh, but you cannot hear from the host, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we're going through some technical issues, so please bear with us. This one. Okay, Spectre, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I was giving a brief introduction to the viewers out there. So since this is your first time on my show, why don't we start with a little bit of your Bitcoin journey? How did you first get into Bitcoin, and what made you start Bitumen in South Korea?
Okay, so there were several turning points that made me fall in love with Bitcoin. So first time I was interested in money from very young age. So I started stock, and I made my first stock investment when I was 9 or 10 years old. It's really very young. And I always interested in economics. So then the first turning point came in 2017 when I saw Bitcoin from a Korea economy magazine, which my dad read, and I approached it as an investment like other person to earn daily snack money. At that time, I was student and knew absolutely nothing about Bitcoin. And as you all know, the Bitcoin price was a little bit crazy. It's going like high and going down at the time. So I quit, but I have some profit. But anyway, I think Bitcoin is scam, and all news and parents, they also think Bitcoin is scam. So anyway, I quit. And the second turning point was after I was finished from the military service. My father, he advised me to use my mining machine since he placed it at his friend's mining farm. Until then, I still thought Bitcoin was a scam, and I was stock investor. So, but however, one piece of good news was that also I was stock investor, but my goal was not to become rich overnight, but just to beat inflation. Even then, I knew inflation was a problem and red, so I sold all the mined Bitcoin and invest in S&P 500 ETF and REITs, Microsoft, and some like tech stock. And my last turning point was while watching YouTube. I was watching a daily vlogger, and I heard him talking about Bitcoin. He never talked about economic system or other stuff, but he talking about Bitcoin. So I wonder, what is Bitcoin? Why he mentioned it? The news said it would fail in 2017, but it didn't fail until I finished my military service. And now even a daily vlogger talking about Bitcoin, it made me curious. So I closed the video and immediately start researching Bitcoin. After research Bitcoin, exactly 7 days later, I admit that I was wrong and fall in love with Bitcoin. After falling in love like this, I wanted to let more people around me know about Bitcoin true Bitcoin, not for investment. So as I engage in news, education, meetup, conference, and book publishing, it naturally led to the establishment of Bitomoon, a Bitcoin education platform. As I continued these activities, I ended up hosting conference as well, and I judged that I could operate an education system and organization that fits the needs of Korean people. I knew I could do this better than others, especially in Korea. So I created Bitomoon, an organization where everyone from those who don't know about Bitcoin to those who know a little and those who know it deeply. And it came, yeah, so everyone can come to Bitomoon and learn the Bitcoin. Yes.
I mean, that was a really great story. And for my personal experience, I thought Bitcoin, it was a scam. But like, as you mentioned, if Bitcoin failed, like a lot of traditional media like to portray it, Bitcoin has failed hundreds times, and yet we still have Bitcoin in 2026. So going back to what you mentioned, you talk about Bitumen and also some Bitcoin conferences. Like, what was the original idea behind the Bitcoin mini conference? Like, and how has it changed over time ever since you've been doing this?
Okay, that is a very good question. I like that kind of question. And actually, many people ask about this. So in the early version of mini conference, the name mini was attached because when I first organized the conference in 2024, I thought only 40% would attend. So my target is just for 40 people. I thought I couldn't handle a large scale conference, and I thought in Korea, they don't want to attend offline meetup or conference. But of course, 200 people came for one day, and I really handled everything alone. There were no staff and no one helped, but everyone saw they want to offline meetup and conference in that time. So first of all, last year, mini conference had 800 attendance for 2 days in 2024. And good point is 97 to 98% of them were locals. So many attend, they told me, since the name has an influence, how about changing it to the Korea Bitcoin conference? I still think this is really good suggestion, but however, think conversely, if someone does not know the composition or role of our conference and decide whether to attend based only on the name, that person is not very attractive to me. Because I feel like they judge only by the appearance, like name or title. So for example, if someone look only at your name and said, your name is this, so you must be like this person. So sorry, I want to be your friend. So how would you feel? I think this is the same way. So, and also another reason is that Bitcoin also start with small step. It's very small step. Now it's big, but it starts very small steps. So rather than expecting something big from the start and chasing it, I want to grow very strengthly the interior with genuine people. The purpose of the mini conference is not to invite people who say things anyone can say, but to invite people with excellent insight and to fill the event with people who can recognize and understand that value, not just for investor. So in this way, I want to continue to build a conference that maintains the purity of Bitcoin. So if you or your friends or everyone interested in a truly pure Bitcoin conference, please let me know. And I want to keep it very pure Bitcoin conference.
Yes, I'm really interested to get into how you build that community. And thanks for sharing that, by the way, because you mentioned you only expected 40% of people turn up, and turns out there are more than 200 people will turn up. So congratulations on that. Like, I kind of want to get deeper into that. Since you have been building the community around in South Korea, like, what have been the biggest challenges in organizing the conference in South Korea? Is it getting speakers or getting audience, or when it comes to logistics? Like, could you share a little bit more to our audience?
Yeah, there's many challenge but yeah, I have been acting as one of leader of Korea community for recent years. So because I knew the sentiment and culture of Korea better than anyone. So I know exactly which speaker and which topic would be fit, and it was easy to me. However, problems occur in all other parts. So the most absurd thing was that we wrote the contract for the venue renter and pay the fee. I mean, we pay everything, but suddenly they just cancel it. I mean, they canceled the contract without any discussion with us. And other point is the entire event was conducted by just 3 people, me and Calvin, who is a UTXO developer, and our art director, Minnie. She is CEO of Saturday Blogs. They selling a very pretty good, and anyway. And we each had our own mission. However, since I was the organizer and decision maker, I had to do various tasks, literally without staff or employees. The 3 of us handled everything for 800 people. It means including stage setting and producing promotional materials, checking tickets, selling tickets, everything. So there were parts that were physically and time-wise quite different. And yeah, but still there is very funny point. So can I talk about a few unique service of our conference?
Yeah, sure, go
Yeah,
for it.
so some point, I think our conference is very unique because first, unlike other conference, we went to the airport to pick up foreign speakers. I mean, all of foreign speakers, because Korea is a country with good English service, but to show gratitude and respect to overseas speakers visiting for our conference, Kevin and I go to the airport every day to greet them and escort them to the hotel directly. And for one of the purpose of the conference, which is community expansion and activation, we provide beef to everyone who attend. In Korea, beef is a very high quality food and it's very expensive. So 200 people who bought early bird ticket they paid almost like 69 US dollar, and we provide 50 US dollar of beef. so they could enjoy 2-day conference for only $19. So thinking about it, it is a conference with crazy value that gives everything back to the audience. Also, it is a conference that is, so it is tough and it does not make money. I mean, it does not give profit to me. But I still feel great satisfaction when people who attend my conference say thank you later, or when I heard that they start activities to contribute something like me. So actually yesterday in Korea, there is one Bitcoin meetup, and one person, he came to me and said that after attending the mini conference, he started a project to contribute as well. Also, Korea first non-profit company, the name is Bitcoin Social Layer. We call them BSL. BSL was born through the mini conference. So I'm continuing the event, feeling very satisfaction in these parts. And it makes our conference is very unique.
That's why I love talking to builders in this space. And well, what you just shared, there are a lot of interesting moments and how a small team, like 3 people, managed 800 people that attend your conference. So that is a big establishment that you have done so far. And I'm sure like you have hosted so many conferences and you have already shared a few. Like, is there any past conference moments or sessions particularly stand out to you the most? Like, is there like a most impactful moment so far?
Okay. Actually, it's very difficult to choose because everyone, they was very satisfied with all session and thanked me. But however, if I were to choose the lecture that received the most reaction from audience after mini conference, it seems to be the session by Win Kokwang from HRF. Before this, Korean people didn't know why HRF they come to Bitcoin conference and what is their purpose and why they pay for Bitcoin. But Win is one of the people who actually use Bitcoin for individual human rights. It was moment when audience, regardless of gender, age, or occupation, they realized that I can be like him. I mean, Bitcoin can be used that way interpreting on the Korean community that Bitcoin is not a tool for profit. It can be a tool for survival and human rights. So I think when his speech is the most touchful section in last year mini conference.
Yes, I love that. And when it comes to the topics that you guys discussed during the conference, I wonder how do you balance technical topics like wallets or multisig with keeping the event accessible even for beginners?
Yeah, that's very little bit difficult. But like other events, the level of people attending the event is truly diverse. There are people who fell in Bitcoin 1 month ago, or 1 year ago, or 5 years ago. So when I thought about what method exists to meet all their needs, I utilized the point I felt when I attend other conference. I opened online meetup several times before the conference. During the meetup, I informed them how each speaker and lecture title would proceed and what are they talking about and what the level was. And because I provide information in advance like this way, even though lecture they wanted at their own level. Also, for those who didn't know which lecture was good to listen to, I recommended lecture personally on site. By educating as many people as possible with information it related to the speakers in advance. I reduced the knowledge gap between the speaker and the participant. So I think many people, they like this online meetup, and they can choose which lecture could be more fun to them and more interesting. Yeah, so I gave them online guide before conference.
That seems like a lot of work and definitely very promising. And I'd love to check out some of your conferences if I ever go to South Korea. Like, speaking of conferences, I wonder what's the next step for the conferences that you plan? Like, what you're planning for future, whether editions, is that you're trying to get bigger reach, or is there going to be a new format or new themes, or maybe for Bitcoin social layer you mentioned before?
Okay, so currently I have long-term plan and short-term plan, and in the long term, it will become the largest community conference in Asia. I am aiming for this seriously, and I think people are more important than money. And fortunately, good people around me are organizing an event for a pure Bitcoin conference together toward one goal. And that one goal is to let people know Bitcoin correctly and easily. Like me, their goal is also not money, and they feel happiness seeing community grow. Since people who enjoy doing hard work are gathered, and people around us contact us to help first. So I think it will be possible. In the short term, we will host conference with scale of 2,000 people in 2026. We are currently proceeding with the venue rental, and it will be on October or November. And as always, I'm already excited about how many people will start new challenging after this event.
And you also hinted at something like new coming. Could you share a little bit more, like what you're teasing for Bitumen, or how does this support Bitcoin adoption?
Okay, so Bitumen is education hub. It provides service in two forms, online and offline, and proceed by classifying individual knowledge level into 4 levels. The first is lecture for orange pill, and level 2 is self-custody, and level 3 is mining node lightning, and the last level 4, will be a place to study a deep understanding of the protocol. The online platform will be a good service for people suffering from time and cost problems. It depends on the creator wish. If they can upload content for free or not. And Bitcoin related materials are also posted on the website. Also, we will post information about Bitcoin organization and companies in each country for free. Then when Korean people visit overseas, they will be able to visit Bitcoin organization or company meetup everywhere more easily than now. And offline will be a service that helps you solve problems that could not be solved online by meeting me directly.
Yeah, that sounds like an entire ecosystem and great service and great stuff you are doing in South Korea, no doubt. If our viewers want to know more about your updates or even your personal perspective on Bitcoin, or maybe they just want to know more about where is the next event in South Korea, where is the best way to reach out to you?
Well, yes, sorry, can you say again?
Like, if our viewers want to know more about the updates, like, is there a Twitter page they could follow, or is that like a website they could follow? Or if they want to know more about your own perspective on Bitcoin, is there a social media or Twitter you could let our viewers know?
Yes, I have web page. The link is bitomoon.com, or you can search in X. The handle is also BitToMoon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Spectre.
Yes.
Really appreciate you joining us today. And to our viewers, we've got more shows and interviews lined up here on Roxham TV. So make sure to stay tuned. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just